Welcome to the Hope for the Journey podcast, a weekday wellness tips program presented by Dr. Denise Marie, Third Order Carmelite. Dr. Denise is a professionally qualified clinical psychologist, health and wellness professor and coach, counselor, plus medicinal herbs educator. Each Hope for the Journey podcast features a well-being key from Dr. Denise, helping you meet your self-care needs for living well. Listener discretion is advised because this and other Hope for the Journey episodes may contain discussions surrounding behavioral health problems and other actual potentially triggering topics.
Hello and good day, everyone. Welcome back to Hope for the Journey. I do hope things are coming along okay for you today. This is Dr. Denise speaking, and on today's episode of the podcast, our topic is being a trustworthy person, which is a relational self-care key for living well. To begin getting into this subject matter, I have a set of questions for you. Are you someone that others would rate on a scale of 1 to 5, with a 1, that is the lowest possible score on how trustable a person you are, a person not deserving of trust, or would you be rated as a 5, the highest possible score on how trustable you are, a score indicating that you are completely deserving of trust? Here are some questions for others to consider in determining how trustable a person you are. Number 1, do you usually show up on time? Number 2, when you say something is going to happen, does it usually happen? Number 3, when you are describing an event and then others learn more information about that event, does their new information usually match your description? Number 4, have you been witnessed as lying to someone else or expecting others to help you in a deception? Number 5, do you sometimes withhold information in order to make things go more smoothly or just to avoid conflict? Number 6, have you ever been witnessed doing something such as cheating or being unkind that you would condemn if another person did it? So, bearing the answers that you have to these 6 questions that I've just asked, overall, how did you do on this screening test for how trustworthy a person you are? Well, going deeper into today's podcast topic, I think we can agree that trust is at the center of every strong human relationship. So, what does it really take to be someone whom others can trust? Why don't we take a little time to examine what trust in a solid relationship looks like? One first characteristic is that you are someone respectful of the boundaries of other people, someone who makes boundaries clear. Another feature is that you would be a person who is willing to acknowledge that you actually have limitations of your own, that you can ask for assistance as you need it. Another characteristic would be that you are a faithful person, a person faithful in things, keeping your commitments, doing what you say you're going to do on a regular basis. And even in the event that there is good reason to not follow through on something, you would have the courtesy to frankly explain the reason for not holding to a commitment. Another characteristic of a trustworthy person would be that you are someone who takes responsibility for your mistakes, who can apologize and even make amends. Also, you are someone who would show discretion, an ability to keep confidential, personal information or secrets that you have been entrusted with. Another quality is that you would have good conduct, courageously choosing what is right and ethical over what is comfortable or convenient. For example, if something isn't pleasant to discuss, you would still tell the truth. Another example of being someone others can trust would be that you are broad-minded, allowing others to state where they're really at, even if it's not the view that you hold or something that you like. A trustworthy person would be someone who would give the intentions of others the benefit of the doubt. Also, you would be someone who, with positive intent, would be forthcoming with clarifications, answers, or information that you realize is important for others to know about. Now, at this point in examining these kinds of patterns of trust, have you come to the conclusion that you may be in need of some trustworthiness readjustments? So, in the light of this, maybe you are considering what would be some of the benefits of making efforts to becoming more trustworthy. Well, certainly, if you are more trustworthy, there will be less stress in your life. You would, of course, be a better person in general. You would have greater self-confidence. Other people would be more likely to choose to interact with you. Your relationships with other people would be stronger. And you would find that even others will be more likely to help you when you actually are the one who needs help. So here are a few tips for the road of increasing your trustworthiness. First, it would be important for you to reveal your awareness of how your breaches of trust have negatively affected any of the relationships in your life. It would also be important for you to identify the precise areas of trust where you have been struggling. Also, to own up to your need to behave differently from now on and grow in these very areas. And another tip would be to keep in mind how trust is actually built in very small aspects. I also recommend that you really allow yourself the time for growth in trust, because trust building is a gradual process. And to keep in mind that developing in trust does not involve violating your own boundaries. And another tip for increasing your trustworthiness would be to remember that you can also ask others to help you develop into a more trustworthy person. In general, I think it's positive news that it is possible to actively value and foster important characteristics of trustworthy behavior in yourself, all toward the goal of verifying that you have what it takes to earn the trust of others, which is something good, not only for you, but also for making the lives of your relationship circles more peaceful and content. And moving along with today's subject matter, I wanted to point to two people who have made growth as persons worthy of trust core values in their lives. First, I share the example of the life of Dr. Michelle K. Stridham. Dr. Stridham is a medical doctor practicing in South Africa, whose conferences and writings have gained her a large following, not only in her native land, but beyond. In Dr. Michelle's capacity as a professionally qualified physician, Dr. Michelle helps people overcome psychological afflictions, physical illnesses, and spiritual complexes from both a medical and biblical perspective. One of her internet pages states that, quote, her teaching demonstrates how latest medical research confirms biblical principles of health and disease, end quote. And another Dr. Michelle webpage explains how her medical mission work seeks to, quote, take the mystery out of diseases by explaining in simple language why and how different diseases develop through the spirit-soul-body connection, end quote. For example, how the symptoms of a disease in the physical dimension can be a sign of an unhealthy mindset in the person's soul, which in turn can stem from the spiritual realm. Dr. Michelle Stridham provides, quote, insights into how you can use the truth of the scriptures in combination with knowledge from medical science to overcome diseases and, more importantly, prevent them, end quote. Now, the other person I wish to bring to mind is the deceased American religious leader, Oral Roberts. May he rest in peace. Oral Roberts was and still is well known for his being an advocate of prayers to God for healing of diseases in both body and soul, especially relating to his belief in what he considered to be, quote, whole person centered, end quote, medical research, medical care, and prayer. Now, both of these internationally known pastoral professionals, Dr. Michelle K. Stridham and Oral Roberts, have been most frequently described in particular by their patients, students, colleagues, and or church members as meeting criteria for trustworthy behavior, a relational key to better personal and interpersonal living. And moving our focus to the next segment of this podcast, I wish to present a piece of music that is centered on the theme of being a trustworthy person. The song I am featuring for you today is called Count on Me. It is sung by Bruno Mars. So here I will read a good number of the song lyrics I pulled off the internet. If you ever find yourself stuck in the middle of the sea, I'll sail the world to find you. If you ever find yourself lost in the dark and you can't see, I'll be the light to guide you. We'll find out what we're made of when we are called to help our friends in need. You can count on me like 1, 2, 3. I'll be there. 'Cause that's what friends are supposed to do. If you're tossing and you're turning and you just can't fall asleep, I'll sing a song beside you. And if you ever forget how much you really mean to me, every day I will remind you. When we are called to help our friends in need, you can count on me like 1, 2, 3. I'll be there. 'Cause that's what friends are supposed to do. You'll always have my shoulder when you cry. I'll never let go, never say goodbye. You know, you can count on me like 1, 2, 3. I'll be there. 'Cause that's what friends are supposed to do, oh yeah. So this song well expresses a number of characteristics of what it is to be a trustworthy person for another, and in this way improving one's relational well-being. For the next part of our discussion, I would like to feature some extra possible care for you and your overall wellness by indicating the following: a set of health foods and plants connected with endurance, natural supports for going the distance of being a trustworthy person for others, our relational self-care key of the day. Of course, just keep in mind to talk over these 3 items with your doctor before settling such herbs into your personal healthcare plan. So I am pointing out this set of health foods and plants as complementary to body and soul functioning. First, there is Go-To Cola. Go-To Cola can be used to assist your staying mentally focused as well as physically fit. Then there is kale. Kale is something you can eat to help manage your stress levels. Additionally, there is dandelion, which can improve the proper and healthy functioning of the brain. Just only bear in mind my advice to review such herbs with your doctor to assess their being in accord with your individual health circumstances. Otherwise, I am pleased to have indicated Go-To Cola, kale, and dandelion as a trio of nature's gifts for the well-being of both your body and soul. Today, I also wish to share with you this brief item. A post-it note I have written to encourage you to increase your being a trustworthy person. So I hope you will take to heart these words from a friend, actually from the book of Titus, chapter 2, verse 7. Show yourself in all respects to be a model of good works, and in your teaching, show integrity, dignity. As the next item on today's podcast agenda, I would like to mention a phone app that I found in service of being a trustworthy person. The title of the app I discovered is called How to Be a Better Person, designed by Tutorify. The most relevant content description on this app reads like this, quote, "This app will assist you in becoming a better person. In this app, we will discuss the following topics: how to become a better person inside and out, 7 things you can do that will make you a better person, how to be a better person in a relationship, how to be a nicer person, how to be happy. Simple self-improvement principles, end quote. Further, going beyond this, how to be a better person phone app, which I learned about, you might recall that there are other wellness services to discover in our own Hope for the Journey podcast resource center, which is located on Instagram at Cause for Hope. So last but not least, to finish up this evening's episode, I wanted to affirm for you how pleased I am to have been able to record this podcast for you today on our substantial topic of being a trustworthy person, to emphasize the importance of this particular relational self-care key for you. And please know that I personally wish you more hope for the journey of greater well-being.
The Hope for the Journey program airs weekday evenings from 7:45 p.m. to 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Instagram and YouTube. Dr. Denise thanks you for listening to her Community Wellness podcast and wishes you to keep in mind that there is cause for hope of more well-being.